Hi, everyone. Welcome once again to Branco Broadcast. I am Bob Branco. Tonight we're very pleased to have with us Professor Lynda Lambert here to share some good wisdom with us about what she does. And Lynda, it's a real pleasure. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bob. It's an honor to be here. I'm very happy to be here.
You can give us a brief background about what you do and how you inspire others, and then we'll take questions.
Okay, very good. I'm a former professor of fine arts and humanities from Geneva College, which is in western Pennsylvania. And I am almost totally blind at this time. I lost my sight in 2007. So I've met a lot of challenges since that time, and I'm going to share some things with you tonight. I'm a writer. I have a book called Concerti, Psalms for the Pilgrimage, and I wrote that when I was working at the college. It was a collection of stories and poems that I wrote over a period of years in the summertime. I always took students to Austria every summer. I taught a course there called Drawing and Writing in Salzburg. And then on weekends we traveled to other countries. So I kept diaries and journals the whole time I would be traveling. And eventually I was working on a tenure project for my position at the school, and I turned those diaries and journals into the book that is called Concerti, Psalms for the Pilgrimage. And I'm also a visual artist. I've been an artist just about all of my life. My degrees are in art and in English. So I cross over between the two fields, the two disciplines. And I have a book right now that Leonore and David Dvorkin are working on. It'll be coming out early in 2017, and the name of that book is called Walking by Inner Vision, Stories of Light and Dreams. And I'm really excited about it because this book, I think just about everything in this book I wrote after I lost my eyesight. And the way that happened was when I was in rehabilitation, learning how to live again. One of my intentions was that I would be able to use the computer again. So that took 2 years, from the time I started getting rehab till the time when I could be proficient again on the computer. And so my way of celebrating, obviously, as a teacher, I like to help other people, and I like to give information, and I like to teach. So my way of celebrating was to start a blog, which I had never done before. And I called the blog Walking by Inner Vision because that's how I had to walk now, by inner vision. And so I began writing articles and so forth on that blog, and it has grown since I would have started that, I think, 8 or 9 years ago. And eventually I began to think a couple of years ago, I'm writing all these articles, and I write poetry all the time too, and I think I should start thinking about turning them into a book. And so that's how I began to compile some of these stories that will be in the book that comes out next year. It's a collection of work that I've written since I lost my sight. Losing my sight is not the focus of the writing, but it's a thread that runs through the writing, in the stories I tell. But my focus in my writings are more memoirs, but based in history. Because I was a humanities professor, I see everything in a historical context, and so when I begin to examine something, I always want to know where this idea began or how this came about, and I look into the historical context of something, and I work that into what I'm writing to give a much broader picture. So that's where I'm at right now, and I came here tonight to talk with you about the New Year's coming up and some things I've discovered the last couple of years that I think would be beneficial to other people, to help them, and to make a difference in our writing or whatever it is we do because it's helped me a lot. So I'm just here to share some of those things tonight. I didn't know if you want me to just talk, Bob, or do you want me to interact?
You can continue with your presentation,
okay.
And then afterwards we'll take questions.
Okay. I was afraid I was just talking and talking. And,
not at all. Keep on talking. It's okay.
Okay. One of the things I'm going to talk about, just to start with, is setting New Year's resolutions or writing out goals. And I thought I would share some information with you on that because I've been working on an article, actually worked on an article that will be published later this month on setting intentions. And so, of course, I looked into what are the statistics for people who set goals or who set resolutions at the beginning of the year. And I went to really reliable source for my information. And when I'm through, I'll get to the page where I can tell you what that is. I don't have it right in front of me, but it's a study that was done just this year at a university for a psychology magazine. So anyway, would you have any idea, just take a wild guess if you would, of, we're talking about American people here, what percentage of all Americans do you think would set New Year's resolutions? Do you have any thoughts on
Probably
that?
everyone sets them, right?
You think so? Okay.
I don't know.
Anybody else want to take a guess? Okay. Oh,
75%.
everybody's muted. That's right. Huh? I forgot everybody's muted. That's why everybody's quiet. Okay.
75%.
Okay.
Well, I might guess how many people set resolutions. This is Abby Taylor in Sheridan, Wyoming, by the way. I didn't introduce myself earlier because I really was talking, so I didn't want to interrupt. But anyway, oh my gosh, let's see. Well, I would take a gander. Maybe 1 in 10 people.
Okay.
Set resolutions.
So you're 10%.
This is Karen. I'd say about 70%.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds about
Set them.
People are eager, though. Yeah. I'll do it.
All right.
This is Marcy. Maybe 50%.
Hey, you're close, Marcy.
Oh, really?
It's 45% of all Americans. 45%. But now listen to this one. These were really shocking figures for me because I would have said, probably 95%. I would have thought a lot because I've done it for years and years, and I hear other people talking about it. But anyway, of that 45%, what percent of those people do you think are actually successful and actually complete their resolution during that year?
10%?
10%.
Yeah.
10%.
You're saying 10?
Something like that.
3.
3.
Okay.
2.
Wow.
In between, it's
5.
only 8%.
8. Well, that's cool.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Like 8%.
So
Wow.
just to look at this picture, we have 100 people. We're looking at 100 people, so 45 of the 100 people would actually set a resolution, and only 8% will be successful. So that means
4 people?
close to 4 people, not even 4 people.
3-point-something persons.
Yeah.
3 1/4.
Something like that. I'm not that good at math, but so that's how many will be successful of all Americans. And then there are a lot of statistics there that I thought were really interesting. The last one I wanted to share with you is the age range. If you're in your 20s, it will be about 30% of that tiny bit that will be successful. And if you're over 50, which I certainly am way over 50, it's 19%. And then that made me also think, that's all the statistics I'm going to give you because that's, I don't want to just be doing that. But it made me think that, of course, for those of us who have vision loss, I can't even imagine what the numbers would be for us. I mean,
that'd be a good study.
It would be a good study, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. But I about 3 years ago, well, actually 3 years ago, my husband became very, very ill. And so during that 3 years, I've had a lot of time to think about things and to be thoughtful about things. And I began to look into something else. I should say I've always been a goal setter because I've always had positions or jobs, but it's my personality anyway because I'm a type A person. But I was an executive director for a number of years at an art institute. And so in that position, I would set goals. My calendar wasn't a 1 or 2 year calendar. It was a 5-year calendar that I was carrying in my briefcase every day and working from. So if I'm talking to you today, we can be looking at what we're going to be doing at the museum 5 years down the road. We know exactly, what exhibitions are coming in and going out and just all of that. And budgeting, working with the budget for the 5 years. So I totally understand how to do that, and that was my way of living. And then I did work in California for a small period of time where I was a grants writer for a college. So in that position also, I'm working with budgets and with time frames and working on, several years out, projecting things. So I was really familiar with that. And of course, since I was that kind of person, I was obviously setting New Year's resolutions all the time. But what I really found out is, just from my own experience, that those things need constant attention. You can come up with a great outline for goals or your New Year's resolutions, but they require you to keep your eyes focused on them at all times. And as soon as you turn your back and walk away from either one of those things are going to kind of fall apart. So you just have to give it all of your attention. And I began to realize about 3 years ago, for where I'm at now in my life, and maybe what I've learned over the last few years would have been wonderful if I had known it, this a long time ago. But I made some discoveries that have really been helpful to me in what I do, and that's called setting intentions. And I go to the senior center 3 days a week with my husband. He's well enough now that a year ago we were able to start going to the senior center and using the exercise equipment 3 days a week. And it gets us out and it gets us around other people. And one of the things I do there is I attend a yoga class on Fridays. So one of the things that we do at the beginning of the yoga class is she comes in and sits down, and the class is a pretty good-sized class. And everybody, is seated in where they're going to be, and the yoga teacher comes in and sits down, but she has some music playing before anything starts. It's just a really peaceful, beautiful music that plays for about an hour. And when she first comes in and sits down, everything's busy, everybody's talking, and it's loud. And she just sits there, and the music keeps playing, and then she'll look around and smile over the audience, and then it'll get a little quieter, and this goes on for a little while, and then all of a sudden you realize it's absolutely quiet in here now except for the music. And when it gets like that is when she smiles and greets us and welcomes us to the class. And the first thing that she does is, after she's greeted us, we're in, I forget what the position is called. I'm terrible with remembering it. But she tells us to set our intentions for that hour, for that class. Very quietly to ourselves, we just close our eyes. The beautiful, soft music is playing. Everything's quiet. No one's talking. And we close our eyes, and we think about where we want to set our intentions for that hour. And after a brief time, then she will begin the class. But I sat there last week, and each week, I would say, well, I want to concentrate on a certain muscle group or whatever today. And I sat there last week when we did this, and I just felt like I needed to be still inside because I'm a super active, busy person. And, I mean, it's just my personality. And my intention for that hour was that I would have a still, quiet heart. And throughout the class, while we were working, from time to time, it would come back to my consciousness that I asked for my heart to be still and quiet, and that I would leave that place with a quiet heart when I left that day, that I would carry that peace inside of me. And there's something about that when you set your intention like that, you're giving it wings. You're just putting it out there and letting it flow out there, and it gets power. It's just a beautiful thing to experience. And I found, first of all, that idea of intention about 3 or so years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And it's not a new idea. It's nothing new age or anything like that. It's a very ancient wisdom. I find that idea in just about every religion that there is. It may be called something different, but it's still that, inner peace, that quietness, that drawing on a spiritual power, or however it would work for you. But one of the books that I read several times, and it's just the most amazing book, was by Deepak Chopra. And the book is called The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. And it was a big bestseller for a long time. It was really big when it came out. And that book was given to me in 1995. I had finished my 3rd degree in 94, or it was almost 95, and a very dear friend that had been my friend since undergraduate work gave me this book as a present. Well, you know how that is. You're so busy with your life that I appreciated the book, and I looked at it. I never read the book. So that book went with me, when I went to California. It went with me when I came back, and it had been with me. But I never read the whole book. And it's like I didn't take the time to read it, or it just wasn't the right time in my life to read it. But I just was in a place where I wanted to be more thoughtful and more conscious of how I am with other people, and more helpful and more generous. And for some reason, I picked up that book a couple of years ago. And as I said, I lost my sight in 2007. So at this time, I'm already into the sight loss. I was able to get that book on tape. And so I sat here and listened to it. And it was really a game changer for me. And I have read that book, I don't know how many times, and it's like on my desk, and I look at it often, and I'll leaf through and read different thoughts that are in it. And let's see where I put the book. I was just going to share a paragraph here that was at the introduction, and it's really what I want to share with you tonight, what I want to talk about. Adjust my machine here. Okay. This is the introduction to the book. You are what your deep driving desire is. As your desire is, so is your will. As your will is, so is your deed. As your deed is, so is your destiny. And that just really, and that's like the first thing you read when you pick up the book, And that's really what an intention is, when you set an intention, that's what you're doing, and that becomes your destiny. And it's just really amazing how it works. I'm going to let's see what I want to do here next. Okay, I'm going to read you a poem, and I was going to do this when I first started, because I want to talk about setting intentions and about figuring out what you desire, because we all have desires, and desires are great things. There's nothing wrong with having desires. We're meant to have desires, and but how to make our desires into intentions so that we can grow. So this is a poem that it should be kind of funny. It's a parody because we have Christmas coming up now. So I'm taking the idea of a desire to the max in this poem. What I did was I thought about like something I like a lot, right? I wanted to write an Abecedarian poem, and that is a poem that would be 26 lines, and each line of the poem will be a different letter of the alphabet. That's the only rule there is for writing this kind of a poem. So you start with A, and then, down the left, each line begins with a different letter of the alphabet till you reach Z. So I made a list of perfumes because I like perfume. I made a list of perfumes, and I found different perfumes like for every letter of the alphabet, and sometimes I even found more than that. So I turned it into this poem about desire. And see if I can juggle the phone and hold this too. I use a CCTV, and I have a handheld phone, so I'm trying to juggle my note here.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
And it's like wiggly, so I'll do my best here. This is called Christmas Sentiments, and I spelled scent S-C-E-N-T because I'm talking about scents, right? All I want for Christmas is aromatherapy beneath my fragrant Christmas tree. Chanel No. 5 casts a festive spell. I want it. Oh, did I mention I'd like some kick-ass shoes, too? Expensive Italian shoes suit me best. I want them. Forget about those elven gifts and get me Ferragamo, size 8 in soft brown leather. Handbags from Italy? Yes, I want Sharif. I admit I am a handbag snob. I want gifts from Paris, too. Just give me what I want and nothing less. Keep shopping till you drop, dear Santa. Let me give you additional tips for what I want. Marilyn Miglin's M perfume, Versace's Crystal Noir, with never-ending desires, or perhaps opium to send me into euphoria. Pheromone is an exotic fragrance I want. QVC is the best place to shop for sentiments. I can't resist ordering an extra bottle or two. Send me the most expensive scents you have, I say. These days, even Santa's reindeer shop online. Up on the housetops, the team takes a break. Vixen and Prancer order bottles of toilet water for sweet-smelling girls like me. XOXOX. Kisses and hugs for you. Oh, remember, Yves Saint Laurent makes delightful scents, but I almost forgot. I want Zen White Heat, the best Christmas sentiment of all. Signed with never-ending desires. I'm your girl, Santa, Lynda.
Aw.
Great. Creative.
That's cute.
Hey, that was very clever.
Yeah.
That just came out in the December issue of, let me think, Indiana Voice Journal. Yeah, it was just published.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, I was happy for that.
That's very creative.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Lynda, would you like to take questions?
Sure, I will do that. Yes.
Yeah, Lynda, this is Steve. First of all, I don't remember where you're from.
I'm from Western Pennsylvania, just north of Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. And the reading, that book you were reading from, is that is he a Hindi?
Yeah, I believe he is. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think he's from India.
Yeah. I liked his ideas kind of mingle with like behavioral psychology. It's like you kind of have to motivate yourself, and it's kind of inspired me to write my second book here. So maybe we can think of that. Keep that focus, you know.
I see that I think he's in physics because he speaks a lot about physics in this book, and he applies these ideas to physics. So I'm not quite sure what he does. If I read it, I don't remember right now, but it's just been a great book.
What he does?
What's the name of the book again?
It's called The Seven Spiritual Laws of Success.
Okay.
Dr. Chopra is a psychiatrist. He's in
that's right.
In Boston. Started his show, by the way, in WGBH TV before he moved to California. Now he has a therapy center in California. Just thought to pass the information.
Well, I find that the 7 laws he lays out is really ancient wisdom, and you find these ideas just across the board in many different faith traditions. I find them really, really good, and like I said, I've read this book numerous times, and I feel like I haven't even scratched the surface of it. You know, I still go back to it. It's one of those books that you just go back to it again and again because there's so much good in there.
And I had one more question, Lynda. Sorry to interrupt you, but have you dealt with writer's block? And if you have, how have you overcome that?
I wrote an article about a month ago. I called it "No More Writer's Block for You."
Sounds good to me. Yeah.
You know what? If I can't tell you off the top of my head exactly where to find it, but I could let Bob know or something. I could give you the link to it.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I can do that, but yeah.
Thanks.
So, on Writer's Party Line, you'll get that stuff.
I'm sorry, what?
I was going to say, if you're on Writer's Party Line, you'll get, poems and things to write.
Yeah, if you're on Writer's Party Line, I can even post the link there, because it's a blog article, and I can do that.
Putting without it,
Yeah, I wrote it. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Hi, Lynda. Hi, Mom. This is Carla.
Hi, Carla. Nice to hear you.
I get to talk to you lots, but I'm always inspired to just hear your story, and I always learn something new about you every time I listen to you. I'm happy to.
This is my daughter-in-law, everybody.
Yeah, we were talking to her before she muted.
That's right. I had to mute. I was driving, and I couldn't get to my phone, so I figured let's arrive alive and not try to.
Oh, nice. That's so nice.
I do actually. Oh, yes. We haven't talked in a while, but I actually do have a question. I mean, as you said, you're very busy, and you've got so many different things going on. You're writing, all your different types of arts, and just everything that you're doing. And obviously, I'm also very busy doing whatever it is I do. But how do you stay focused and not come away? Because I'm a big New Year's resolution person too, and I'm one of those that doesn't ever get through my whole list. Occasionally, I'll do some, but do you set aside time to say, okay, this is my writing time? This is my jewelry time. Okay.
Yes, I do. I divide my time between writing and making art, and I save 4 days a week for writing. We go to the senior center Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and we go there in the morning and work out, and then we stay for lunch and visit with everybody and have a good time. And then on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday, I'm writing usually. And I try to keep that time, obviously you can't keep it 100%. Other things come up and, you have obligations and things you want to do. But I really try to, if I'm scheduling things, I try not to schedule them during the time that I'd be writing. So, yeah, that's what I do.
So what do you do on the days you're like, I'll do it later? How do you overcome that temptation to say, there's always tomorrow, Because that's my thing now. It's like, I can do that another day.
Well,
and then now the day never comes.
I can tell you what I did when I was going to start on the book. I set my intention last year to put the book together. And I haven't done this I wrote the first book about, I'm thinking 12 years ago. So, and my whole situation has changed since then. When I did it 12 years ago, it was part of my job to do that. Yeah. But, so doing the book now, this is just, I just do it, because I really want to do it. So I set it as an intention, and that was one of my intentions, that I intend to get this book written this year and I intend to have a publisher. I had no idea in the world where a publisher was going to come from. I don't know anybody. The people that did my book for me 12 years ago, I'm really not in touch with anymore, and I don't even know if they still do books anymore. But as I belong to the different groups, I began to hear about the Dworkins, and through you, Bob, and then somebody else that I know published a book through them, was really happy and really pleased with it. And so there was my publisher. I contacted them.
There you go. Yeah.
And yes, so they've been working with me and are working with me now. And I just felt I had that peace in my heart that they were the right people. I looked at, like anybody, I looked at lots of other places. I've talked on the phone to many other publishers and so forth, but I just felt a peace inside that this was the publisher for this book. And so, I just said, we're going to do it. So.
Well, you made a good choice because I'm with them too, and they're very.
I know. I'm so pleased with everything I've seen. Yeah, that they do. Yeah, and such nice people.
Lynda, I have a question, two-part.
Yeah.
What was the cause of your blindness, and how much vision do you have?
It's called ischemic optic neuropathy, and it's rare. I've been told that it's rare. I've never known another person that has it. I know of another person that has it, a doctor in Georgia that I've communicated with. He was the head of pathology for a university hospital, and so we've kept in touch a little bit over the years, and he has it. But it happens instantly. There's no way of knowing. I mean, it happened at a peak time in my life when I felt I was at the healthiest I could ever be. I was at the perfect weight and just, everything was good in my life. And it just happens instantly. Within a day or two, you lose sight. I lost sight in one eye in January 2007, and then in October it was the other eye. So my acuity, and I didn't even know what my acuity was until about 2 weeks ago when somebody had to have it for some reason. So I called my blind services here because I knew they had my records. And I said, can you tell me what my acuity is? I never bothered asking because I just didn't want to dwell on it. I just wanted to do what I could do, and I just didn't want to think of myself as a number. But I had to get it for services that I was getting. And so my acuity is 2200 is legally blind. I'm 8/200 in both eyes. So extremely low vision.
Yeah.
Profound sight loss is what they said. So, but I just don't let that. I just don't let it stand in my way. Don't use it for an excuse. And I find a way because of all the training I've had. I went away to a school for rehabilitation in Pittsburgh, and I was there 3 months. And I come out of there knowing that I could do anything. I just had to figure out how to do it, but I could.
Yeah, that's good.
So that's But when I'm setting intentions, like in the first place, I was setting intentions without realizing I was doing it back in the beginning, because I would say, I didn't set it like this is a goal, I'm going to do this, but I would say like this, I intend to use the computer again. I intend to do a blog, or I intend to do a website. I intend to be able to manage my own money and to walk by myself with my cane, and I intend to read books. Of course, I had to figure out how I was going to read books.
That's it. How.
And one of the things that really urged me on was I intended to knit. I have knitted all my life, and one of the things that I did was I knitted sweaters for children. It was a charity through Guidepost magazine.
Oh, yeah.
And it's at one pattern. Everybody in the world that does this uses only one pattern, and you make the sweaters in different sizes, and literally thousands and thousands of them are made every year, and they're given to children in schools or, some children, their fathers are in prison, and there's no money in the family and stuff. I mean, just special needs people. So I would knit sweater. I had like a goal of so many a year that I would knit. And when I lost my sight, I was working on a sweater, and I had it half done. That bothered me so bad that I didn't have that sweater done. It was like, I intend to knit again. And when I went away to the rehab center, I took my knitting needles with me and my yarn with me, and I told them, I want to knit again.
Good for you.
And they began working with me there, and I was knitting when I left there, come back and finished that sweater and took it down to the center. And so, you know, I intended to be in art exhibits again because that was what I did, and I intended to continue making art. I intended to write, and just, you know, without even realizing it, I was setting intentions. You know, I wasn't looking at it as a goal plan. It was, this is what I intend to do, and I'm going to do it.
So who's your favorite writer, if you could pick one?
Oh, my goodness. Annie Dillard, I would say. Of contemporary writers, Annie Dillard.
Mm-hmm.
But I love many writers. I like the modernist writers, especially Rilke. Rilke would be at the top of my list. I love Rilke. And I like the beat poets. I like postmodern literature. I taught modernity and postmodernity literature. I love.
Wow.
So that's some pretty heavy stuff. And
yeah.
Yep. I mean, yeah. So when you encounter that, it's like, what do I do with this? You know. But a lot of what I do is based on postmodern ideas or modernist ideas. Well, probably everything I do is. So, anyway. So for the last 2 years, then I began, you know, to compile the work of the things I was writing, and I've rewritten them a dozen times. The other thing that I intended was to get my work out, you know, to get my work out to magazines and books or whatever, because that's what I did before, and I wanted to do it again. Except before, my work was academic, so that's not what I do now. That's not my life now. And so that was quite a switch to get my brain switched over, you know, and not think of things like academic research, you know, that I love to do. So I don't do that now, but I still do it in the way I write because of going back to the historical context of whatever it is I'm discussing. So I'm still wearing my humanities hat when I'm writing, but it's a different audience now, and I like that. It's great.
Well, I'd like to talk to you sometime about publishing and getting the word out, because that sounds like you've done a lot with that. So
I've been really blessed this last couple of years on getting work out a lot. I mean, almost every month I've got a piece or two somewhere.
That's great.
I have, in December I have 2 pieces that were just published by Indiana Voice Journal. They've been, once they read my work, in the last year they've published my work almost every month. 1 month they published 4 pieces in an issue. So I had 2 poems in the December issue. This is really interesting. I'm in the not dialogue. I've been there, but I'm in word gathering, and this is really interesting. I was in word gathering once before, just to encourage you. I was in word gathering with a poem that I absolutely love, and it's just, excuse my language, it's a kick-ass poem.
Right.
It's me as the motorcycle rider riding my bike across Pennsylvania on a freezing cold day. And so that's how this poem is written, and it's great. It's like a very feminist poem. But it was published by Word Gathering.
Now, how many people are you reaching with all this stuff?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay. Well, you got to start somewhere anyway, no matter what. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, whatever. Yeah, I mean, these are great. I love literary magazines. You know, those are right up my alley. So that's what these are, and that's what I like. They're more esoteric, and I like that. But so I figured since I had that poem in there, okay, they really like my stuff. So I sent them more poems a couple of times, and I got turned down. And then they sent me a note saying, and I about fell off my chair when I read this, there is an underlying current of romanticism in all your writing.
Ooh.
And so therefore they didn't want my writing.
Oh, wow. Find another magazine.
Yeah.
So, but that is really funny to me because romanticism, in the true sense of what it is really very cool. But anyway, so that was a compliment to me that they said that. And I know it wasn't meant to be a compliment, but it was. Because romanticism is so positive and, you know, a belief in a better life, a better world, you know, all that. So
I like how you turn the negative into positive. That's
exactly.
Great.
So if that's in my work, that's fine. So then I thought, I didn't send them anything for the last couple of years because they already clearly told me they really don't like other than the poem that they published. So then I sent them something else, and didn't they pick it up? And it's in the December issue. It's called Star Signs. And here's what's cool about it. When you go to the site now, it wasn't like this before, and you click on poems, you know, my name will be there, and you can just hit that link, and it'll bring up my poem. Not only can you read it, you can click on the link and hear it being read.
Oh, wow.
And
nice.
I don't yet know how. Probably you all know how to do this, and I have to learn from somebody here. Mm-hmm. What they wanted was for the poet, you know, to read your work and record it, and then they would do that. Well, I don't know how to do that. So and they said if I
did do it on a computer,
I could help you there.
Somebody has to help me, yeah, and
all
I
right.
know somebody will. But so I told them that I didn't at this time have a way of doing that because I don't even know how. And they said no problem. They would have somebody there read it. I'm telling you, when I clicked on that and I heard that woman's voice reading that poem, I was so excited. I love to hear someone else read my work. I think that someone else reads my work far better than I do.
Yeah.
And they show you your work in a new way. They emphasize different things than what you think, you know, would be emphasized. They speak a different dialect when they read, depending on where they're from. I was just blown away. I have listened to that woman read my poem so many times because it just thrilled me. So that was really, I liked that. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's a new third party. Because like when I was at my book reading at the library, of course I couldn't read from my book. I said, "Can you help me out?" And when they read it, it was like that's somebody's, you know, because they don't have the bias that I would have anyway.
Yeah.
It was like it made it. It was so, like you said, such a different take on what you wrote. It's like, wow.
Well, that's the one thing that, you know, I'm thinking about. Okay, my book is going to be coming out, and I will probably have the opportunity to appear some places to do a book signing and a reading, and I have no clue how I'm going to do a reading. But I'm thinking that if I could choose some things that were not quite as long and I could use the CCTV, then I think I could get through it. But the other thing I thought about is if I'm going to go somewhere, let's say I'm going to go to my friend's church and do it or something, I would like them to be invested in this and not just me coming in and doing it. I would like maybe 3 or 4 people that are going to be there to have one of my pieces ahead of time, and I would like them to read it, to perform it, you know, and then me also talk. But I would like to share, you know, the work with several other people that would be a part of presenting it. Mm-hmm. I think that would be really cool.
Yep.
That's
Lynda, this is Alice. Can you hear me?
Alice. Yes, I can. Very well.
Okay. I just really want to compliment you on how you read your Abecedarian this evening. I just thought it was such a playful reading, and it just matched the content of your poem, of course, so well. And
Thank you.
I really enjoyed the poem and was delighted to have the opportunity to hear you read it this evening. And I have a question for you also. Do you set aside a half a day or so much time a week for sending your pieces off? Because I know you've had so many published in the past year or so. Do you set that time aside also? And my other question is, are you going to read Red December this evening?
Oh, my goodness. I have read December here somewhere. I was afraid to read it because I figured it would be too long. I will if you want. I'll try to do it.
I'd like you to read it because Alice mentioned it, and I'm very curious.
Okay, I will. I will read it, and I'll explain a little something before I read it so that it makes sense. Okay, about sending work off. I have a hard time. I can't jump from one thing to another.
Yeah.
Actually, one time I worked in an office. I only worked in an office once in my life for 3 weeks. I was an office manager for a corporation. Mm-hmm. And believe me, I'm the last person you would want running an office.
Multitasking, yeah.
So one day when I went out to lunch, I decided, even though I really needed the money desperately, that I just couldn't keep on working there because I just wanted to die every day. Mm-hmm. And I was just, in a job that I despised. It's the only job I ever hated in my life because I like most things, but boy, I hated that. And so when I come back from my lunch hour, I said, I'm going to turn in my 2 weeks notice because I need to quit. And so they said, okay. I finished the day, and then I wasn't allowed to come back for the 2 weeks. They called me on the phone or left a message saying they would send my things from the desk to me in the mail, not to come back.
Oh.
and then
that is what I went through.
Oh, boy.
I told a friend of mine who worked there, and she's actually the person that got me the job. They said to her, my problem was I am single focus.
Yeah.
So for art and writing, you got to be single focused, right? It would be in trouble.
That's the problem.
Why wouldn't they let you finish your 2 weeks?
I didn't want to go back. I hated it.
But why didn't they want you to come back?
Yeah, why weren't you allowed?
Why wouldn't they let you even come back?
They just told me it wouldn't be necessary. Yeah, they just told me it wouldn't be necessary.
I guess they found somebody else quick. Wow.
Oh, but anyway, so the reason I said that is because of Alice's question about focusing. If I'm going to work on sending things out, I don't do anything else that day. I start working in the morning, and I will generally work through the whole day doing nothing but sending things out or investigating and reading and deciding where I'm going to send things. Right. And I would say I spend 1 day a month doing that.
1 day a month.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Lynda,
yeah.
Can you hear me okay?
I can, yeah.
Oh, great. This is Ann Parsons, and I just wanted to compliment you on your presentation this evening. And
thank you, Ann.
It's very nice to meet you finally.
You too.
And I look forward to reading your poems in the future.
Oh, thank you, Ann. Thank you so much for coming tonight. I appreciate it.
This is Karen. I just wanted to say that I'm glad to finally meet you over the phone. I've heard you on Writer's Party Line. I've read, we posted back and forth, and I've really liked your poem about the perfumes. And I think I was the one that spoke to you about the fact that for 2 years, and I just haven't done it, I thought of starting a blog about fragrances and things like that.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do it. My problem is I don't know how to write a blog.
Well, maybe I can help you. I'd be glad to have conversations with you.
Oh my gosh, it's going to take me a while to learn, but
that's not as bad as you think.
It's not.
Probably not.
There are a lot of people on the party line that have blogs that would be glad to give you tips. Not
right. And I thought I'll never learn. I'll never, but I'll get it.
Oh yeah.
But I loved your poem about the perfumes, and I wanted to ask you about a book. I read it. Maybe I wasn't ready to read it the first time I read it. It was called The Secret, and I forget who writes it. I don't remember the author at the moment.
Oh, I've read that. Yeah, I've read that a couple
But years later, someone gave me a book on CD. I read it, and it made a lot more sense to me.
Yeah, that was an Oprah Winfrey. She promoted that book, years ago.
Yeah.
That's when I got that book and read it. Yeah.
And when I read it first, I said, "No, it's for other people, but not for me."
Mm-hmm. No, it's
but
for you.
The more I read it, I said, "Oh, maybe it's got something in it."
It does, yeah. Well, I think, like I said, this book was given to me years before I actually read it, and so, I mean, and it's that way with lots of things. You're just not ready to hear something yet. You're not ready. You haven't reached a point in your life where you're ready to really understand what you're reading. And like I say, there's a lot of things that I don't get that I'll go back to again and again, and eventually someday, but there's a lot of books I'm like that with. Just, you take what you can at the time and apply it to your own life. And I'm a Christian, so this book is not written as a Christian book at all, but I find that it meshes beautifully with Christian principles and with different ideas that I've read in the Bible, and those are universal ideas. That I have a good friend who's Hindu, and I know that these ideas I've seen him practice in his life, and or Buddhist. I mean, I think anybody of any persuasion can get good out of books like this because they are.
Yeah, I took comparative religion in college, and like you said, these ideas are very ancient, and all the religions have those. The karma and the Christianity are kind of similar to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The Bible would call it sowing and reaping. You go out into the field and sow the seed. One illustration that I like to think of it is like somebody will come up to you and say, "Boy, I'm waiting for my ship to come in." They're like, I'm waiting for my ship to come in. And then I always say to them, well, have you been sending ships out? They won't come in if you haven't sent them out.
Put the message in the bottle first.
Yeah. So that's what you do when you set an intention.
Right.
You are sending out a ship or ships, and they will return to you in time, So because you're releasing the energy. I mean, you're giving something energy. You're releasing them. So that they can go back. I like the ship example.
Yeah.
That gives me a picture. So, one other thing that Chopra, I think, emphasized in the book that I think is really important is that, like that poem was about desires, and it's meant to be funny. I love perfume. Anybody, my daughter-in-law knows I have perfume all through the bathroom. And people always say to me, "Oh, you smell so good. What are you wearing today?" And I love perfume. And I always say, if you're allergic, you won't want to sit next to me.
Exactly.
But I love it. But the thing is, there's nothing wrong with having desires, and really they're at the heart of everything we do. But the one thing, you have to make sure that something you desire is not going to bring unhappiness to someone else or to hurt someone else in any way. You want to make sure that the things that you intend to do, that you want to do, or that you desire, bring happiness to other people as well. So, and the other thing that I think is really important is when you sit down to make out. I've already worked on my intentions for 2017. I don't tell anybody what you intend to do. Tell nobody. Keep it to yourself.
That's one thing I've learned.
Your heart will come back to it again and again, during the year, and you can revisit your list or what you intended, but don't share it with anybody else. You can tell them at the end of the year what your intentions were and how they worked out and how they came back to you, but just, keep it to yourself. You don't need to share that.
Yep.
Hey, Lynda. Am I on?
Yes, go ahead.
This is Jean Hill Chambers down on top of a mountain in North Carolina.
Hello. So nice to talk to you.
It's good to talk to you, too. I am so inspired. I'm impressed and inspired. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I have to tell everybody else. Jean and I just met via an email, 2 days ago? This is one of those things.
Yesterday.
Or yesterday.
I don't know.
Jean's working on a project that is just mind-blowing and fabulous and wonderful, and so she had my name and sent me a message about it. It's something very exciting and very meaningful, and such a good project. And so to me, that's how intentions work, you know. She has a project. She intends to do this project, and other people just are brought into your life as you need them. And her project's going to take thousands of people.
Tens of thousands of people. Yes.
Yes. But
well, you guys are just met. Let's hear you a month later to see how you feel.
Yeah, right. See what percent you fall in there, right?
Yeah. Oh, those statistics I gave you about goals and everything, that came from the University of Scranton Journal of Psychology. So I just went, and that was a study that was done in 2016. So I just wanted to give you the background.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I will see if I can find the poem. I think I threw it on the floor because I decided I probably shouldn't read it.
Oh.
It'll be here in my pile somewhere.
We have about 4 minutes.
We do?
Yep.
Don't put her under pressure.
Yeah,
that's not fair.
Here it is.
Just email it to me.
Here it is.
Oh,
you want to hear it? Okay.
Sure.
I think I can do it in 4 minutes. Okay. Let's see. This is called Red December. This is what Alice asked me to read. I just want to say that I went out walking my dogs, and I was trying to remember everything I was experiencing while I was walking the dogs. So that is what is behind this poem. And then on the other hand, I was thinking about everything red. It's Christmas time, and I love red. And so I was making a list of things that were red or things that were in my mind that were red. So as I'm writing this poem, you'll see that I'm walking in the woods, I'm having that experience, but then you'll also see what I'm thinking about and all these red images that are coming to me. So it's these two things combined to make the poem. And I call it Red December. New fallen snow glimmers in pre-dawn darkness. Slender red barberry dangle from thin branches. I shuffle my feet, begin to feel solid ground. Near the place where my father's red roses are surrounded by pillows of snow, slumbering safe in the dark red December ground. My heavy suede boots part the snow. It's too early for the red cardinals. Where do they go at night, I wonder? The sharp wind makes me huddle deeper into my bright red boucle jacket while my 2 dogs search random trails and follow the long marks downhill. On a crisp day in mid-December, I desire red raspberry jam on warm toast. Linger by the tall pampas grass, weighted down by the heavy snow. I think of strawberry sundaes with whipped cream. I recall wearing Neiman Marcus red lipstick and dancing all night in hot red stilettos and tight blue jeans. We turn around for the return home. The dogs circle in the frozen pachysandra patches. Stiff, brown-green, shrunken leaves. In memories, I see my neighbor. She wears a cranberry red hat, a worsted red coat, flat scarlet red shoes, carries a true red leather handbag, just like the one I bought last Sunday. I watched her from the upstairs bedroom. In her 80s, she revealed how to live a gallant life. No cars pass us on the country road. Morning in red December, where it is perpetual winter. That's all she wrote.
Wow.
Very good.
Very nice.
Excellent.
Very nice. And Lynda, on that note, we're going to have to wrap things up here on Branco Broadcast. It's been a real joy having you on the show, and continued success with your book and other articles that you would like. I know that I wrote for your blog one time, I believe.
Yes,
I was going to.
You did.
A while ago. I'd like to do that again sometime, if that's okay with you.
Okay, sure.
Just
Thank
let
you,
me know.
everybody that came. It was just a
Oh,
pleasure.
Lynda, it was wonderful.
Really appreciate it.
Is there a website that we can look up just so that, we can go through some things?
A website for me or for something I talked about?
For your blog. How do we look up your blog so that we know how to go around?
It's www, then my name, Lynda Lambert, Lynda Lambert, Lynda Lambert.com.
Okay.
That's all.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I have two blogs, so at the top, when that comes up, you'll be on the front page of the one blog, Walking by Inner Vision, and then there'll be a bar up above. You can click on Scandalous Recollections, and that's the other blog that I do. Scandalous.
That sounds like fun to read.
Yeah.
That's the one that's more art-focused, more like edgy art-focused. Yeah, the other one is more writing-focused.
Super. Thanks once again. We'd like to have you back sometime soon.
I'll come back when the book comes out. We'll do it.
All right.
Okay.
That sounds great.
Have a wonderful evening.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good
night.
Good night.
Good night.